Single mother, working as a server at a restaurant, breaks down in tears after receiving a message from a stranger. Don't forget to subscribe to the Stories of Life's Acts channel. And before we continue this story, let us know where you are from. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to subscribe as we release videos every day at 12:30 p.m. In a small apartment on the outskirts of the city, where the morning light is just enough to drive away the chill of the early hours, Emily, a single mother, begins a new day. The room, though small and faded over time, is filled with the warmth of love. Every morning, she wakes up early to prepare for a long day working at a roadside diner. Emily's life is always busy and challenging, but she still tries her best to provide her daughter, Lily, with a space full of love and stability. Next to the old wooden table, Lily sits attentively, drawing pictures with bright colors that reflect her innocence and hope for a world filled with joy. In Lily's eyes, the world seems to unfold with dreams, and despite all the hardships Emily has endured, she continues to strive to create beautiful things for her daughter. She does not want Lily to experience the struggles she herself has faced. Yet in these quiet moments, Emily cannot help but feel a sense of lack, a deep concern about the future. She knows she is doing her best to maintain a life for the two of them, but sometimes she wonders if she is doing enough to give Lily everything she truly deserves. "Lily, what are you drawing today?" Emily asks, trying to smile despite the worries in her heart that she has not been able to share. Lily looks up, her eyes shining with happiness. "I am drawing us going to the beach, Mom. You will love it." Lily's voice is pure and full of hope, as if all dreams can come true. Emily smiled, gently touching her daughter's hair. "You are a talented artist. I am so proud of you." She tried to stay positive, but the worry still lingered in her mind. How could she give her daughter a better life when she herself didn't even have enough time or resources to rest or enjoy moments with her? Every time she saw Lily's smile, Emily blamed herself for the tough days that prevented her from being able to spend more time with her. That day, like any other, Emily woke up early to get ready for her job at the diner. The small diner sat by the roadside, where customers hurriedly passed by, but it was also where Emily carried the weight of her fatigue. While this job wasn't her passion, it was what allowed her to provide for the two of them. Her workplace was a simple diner with warm yellow lights, but filled with the sounds of laughter and conversation and the sweat of those who worked tirelessly. "Emily, has Table 3's order been completed?" a colleague asked, pulling her out of her wandering thoughts. "Yes, I am on it right now," Emily replied, trying to finish her tasks as quickly as possible. She always felt like she was trapped in an endless cycle, working, going home to care for her daughter, then returning to work again. During moments like these, she wished she could find a way out of this loop so she could spend more time with Lily and the two of them could enjoy life together instead of just chasing the daily grind. One afternoon, when the diner began to empty out, Emily stood at the corner of the restaurant, gazing out through the window. The cars sped by in a rush. Life outside continued as if nothing had changed, but inside her heart there was one persistent question. What can I do to give my daughter a better future, one where she does not have to carry the same worries I do? At that moment, the door to the diner opened and a man stepped inside. He seemed out of place compared to the regular customers. He was tall, with long, slightly disheveled hair, his face tired as if he had just endured a long day. He wore a simple coat, but there was something about him that made Emily feel he did not belong in this place. An inexplicable pull, as if he carried some different energy with him. He walked in, chose a table in the corner of the diner, and quietly sat down. Emily remained standing there, watching him curiously, sensing something strange she could not explain. After a few seconds, she hurried over to greet him. "Hello, how can I help you?" Emily asked, trying to hide the nervousness in her voice. "Hello," he replied, his voice deep yet tinged with sadness. "I would like a black coffee and a few pancakes, please." Emily quickly jotted down the order, but her eyes could not leave the strange man. There was an odd connection between them, even though Emily could not explain the feeling. He looked into her eyes, and it seemed like he could see through all the worries and exhaustion she had hidden deep inside her. "Can I sit here for a while?" He asked, his eyes still fixed on her, quietly, as if he were pondering something deep, as if he too was facing his own set of troubles. "Of course," Emily replied, though there was still an unsettling feeling she could not quite explain. The entire afternoon, Emily could not take her eyes off the strange man. He sat silently, sipping his coffee and eating his pancakes, occasionally looking out the window as though lost in thought, thinking about something important. There was something very strange about his stillness that Emily could not explain, but there was also a magical connection between them, as if they were sharing a part of this life that could only be understood through their gaze and unspoken feelings. As the afternoon slowly wound down, the atmosphere in the diner became lighter, and the customers thinned out. Emily continued her work, but throughout that time she could not shake the feeling of the man's special presence. Though he wasn't talkative, in fact, he was very quiet. There was something about him that made Emily feel as if she had known him for a long time. His gaze, never rushed, occasionally lingered gently on the faces of those around him, but whenever his eyes met Emily's, it felt as though there was a silent connection between them. The feeling became even clearer when he spoke, breaking the long silence between them. "Have you been working here long?" His voice was deep and gentle, carrying an unexplainable concern, as though he truly wanted to know about her. Emily was a bit surprised by the question, but felt a small comfort in it. She nodded, feeling a bit flustered, but still trying to remain composed. "Yes, I have worked here for a few years. This job helps me support my daughter, Lily." The man looked at her softly and gave a small smile. "Your daughter must be very important to you." His words, simple as they were, made Emily's heart tighten. It felt as though he could see all the struggles, all the sacrifices she had made over the years. She fell silent for a moment, unsure of what to say next, then finally spoke, her voice filled with emotion. "She is everything to me." Those simple words seemed to convey all the feelings Emily had kept hidden. No matter how difficult or exhausting life became, Lily was always her source of strength, the only reason she continued to bravely face every challenge. He looked at her for a long moment, his eyes filled with understanding. "She is lucky to have a mother like you," he said, but it was not a hollow word of encouragement. His words felt like a deep understanding, as though he truly grasped everything Emily was going through, even though it was their first time meeting. These weren't meaningless, comforting words, but a genuine empathy, a recognition of the efforts she had made throughout her time as a single mother. The conversation between them continued in short but meaningful exchanges. Simple questions, yet filled with deep insight into life, motherhood, and the quiet sacrifices that sometimes Emily felt no one noticed. Even in the silences between them, Emily could sense a strange sense of connection. Though this man knew little about her life, what he said felt as if he had lived alongside her through those hardships. Time passed, and darkness slowly enveloped the space, the lights in the diner growing brighter as the customers thinned out. At this point, the man stood up, preparing to leave. He glanced around once more, his eyes seeming to absorb everything that had happened during their brief time together, then turned toward the door. But just before stepping out, he paused, turned back, and placed a white card and a thick envelope on the table. Curious and a little confused, Emily approached the table where he had been sitting. She opened the card and read the short but warm message. "Always remember that love is the most important thing. Your daughter will forever love you for everything you do for her." These words weren't just empty phrases. They were a reminder of the true value of love, of the unconditional sacrifices Emily made for Lily. Her eyes suddenly filled with emotion, and her heart tightened in a way she could not quite explain. But what truly took her by surprise was the envelope the man had left behind. She could hardly believe her eyes as she looked at the check inside. The amount on it was enough to change the entire future of the two of them. Everything seemed to blur, as if she were looking at an unbelievable dream she could not comprehend. Emily stood there, frozen, still holding the check in her hand, staring at the numbers she could hardly believe were real. She couldn't make sense of why this man, someone she had never met before, would do something like this for her and Lily. He didn't know anything about their struggles, about the hardships they had faced, yet he had given them an unimaginable gift. The check and the warm words of encouragement felt like a gift she had never dared to dream of. It wasn't just about the material help, it was about the support, the hope, the reminder of the unconditional love she had for Lily, and a reminder that sometimes in this life we receive unexpected help from strangers. Emily stood there, overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions, unsure of what to do. She couldn't fully understand what she was feeling right now, surprised, deeply moved, and incredibly grateful. She looked out the window, gazing toward her small home, thinking of Lily and what the future might hold. She didn't know what the coming days would bring, but at least now she knew that their lives could change. Maybe, just maybe, things would get better. After that afternoon, everything seemed to change. Emily could not stop thinking about the strange man, the check he had left behind, and the warm words of encouragement she had never received during all the difficult years. When she entered the house, Lily was sitting at the wooden table, still intently drawing colorful pictures. The soft yellow light illuminated her innocent face, making the room feel unexpectedly warm. Emily sat down next to her daughter, placing the envelope on the table, but she did not open it right away. She just looked at Lily, admiring her daughter's drawings, and felt a warmth in her heart. It seemed that, in this moment, all the struggles and exhaustion melted away. "Mom, do you think my drawing is beautiful?" Lily looked up, her eyes shining with joy as she saw her mother. Emily smiled, reaching out to gently pat Lily's head. "Your drawing is beautiful. I really like this one. But there is something I want to talk to you about." She looked directly into her daughter's eyes, her voice becoming more serious. "We are going to have a big change in our life. I do not know what is coming, but I promise I will do my best to make everything better for you." Lily looked at her mother with curious eyes. "Where are we going, Mom?" "You said, we are going to have a change." Emily chuckled softly, feeling a wave of emotion. "We won't have to live as hard as we did before. I will do everything I can so we can have a better life." Although she still couldn't explain exactly what had happened, Emily felt that now was the time to start anew. The check left by the stranger was a turning point she could not ignore. She now had the strength and determination to make a change, to turn the dream of a stable and happy life for them into reality. The next morning, Emily decided to use the money from the check to invest in a small shop. She didn't want to work at the diner anymore. She wanted a more stable job, one that would allow her to spend more time with Lily. She found a location close to home, a shop that sold a variety of items from household goods to clothing and groceries. This not only allowed her to earn a better living, but also gave her the chance to take control of her life. Lily was thrilled to see her mother organizing and arranging things in the shop. The little girl ran around, helping Emily tidy up small items, laughing and chatting happily. Even though she was still young, Lily could sense the big change in their family, and her joy was the greatest motivation for Emily to keep moving forward. On the shop's opening day, although Emily was a bit nervous, she felt a deep sense of happiness when she saw the first customer walk through the door. The feeling of owning a place she had built with her own hands was incredible. She knew the road ahead would still be filled with challenges, but at least she had a solid foundation to start over and create a better future for the two of them. In the following months, Emily's shop gradually became busier and her life began to change day by day. Every evening, when she returned home, Lily would share stories from school and they would sit together, talk, and laugh. That sense of happiness had always been there. It seemed only before it had been overshadowed by worries and life's difficulties. One morning, as Emily was preparing for another day of work, she received an unexpected call. It was the strange man, the one she could never forget, the one who had helped her when she was at her lowest. He called to check in, saying he was happy to see that she had started over and now had her own little shop. "You are doing great, Emily. "I believe your daughter will be very proud of you," he said, his voice still warm and full of understanding. Emily thanked him, feeling warmer than ever. She didn't need to know his name, nor did she need to know who he was, because he had given her the confidence in herself and in the future. From that day on, Emily understood that her life wasn't just shaped by what she did, but also by the small, unseen acts of help from people she had never met. And most importantly, she understood that, no matter the circumstances, love and sacrifice are the most precious things. They are what will help her and Lily overcome everything. As the days passed, Emily found a new life, one not just about material things, but about a renewed faith in herself, in her daughter, and in the future she was building. Every morning, when the first rays of the sun streamed through the small window of the apartment, Emily felt a different kind of peace. She no longer had to wake up tired, staring at the clock on the wall, rushing out of bed to go to work as she had before. Instead, she now had time to breathe in the fresh air, to savor the moments of calm and tranquility in the morning. Lily was still sitting at the wooden table, drawing bright, colorful pictures, but now, in the room filled with her daughter's laughter, Emily felt like she was living in an entirely different world. Today was a special day. Emily's shop was preparing for a small event to introduce new items and attract more customers. But it wasn't just another workday, it symbolized a significant change in her life. The tireless efforts she had put in were finally beginning to pay off. It was a feeling that words couldn't fully capture: freedom, belief in herself, and belief in the future. Emily no longer saw herself as a single mother solely focused on work and constantly worrying about meals and bills. She had learned to take better care of herself, to enjoy the simple things in life. Just having a cup of coffee by the window in the morning or watching movies with Lily in the evening was enough to make her feel complete. Lily had changed too. She was no longer just the innocent child sitting and drawing in the corner of the house. She began to understand her mother's efforts and the challenges she had overcome to create the life they now had. The little girl started helping Emily with the small tasks in the shop and often asked her questions about work and life. Emily felt a deep sense of pride as she watched Lily grow, developing her own dreams and a belief that life could give her everything good and beautiful. However, what surprised Emily the most was the sense of peace she had never felt before. It was a feeling of not being rushed, of not constantly worrying about money or work. It was the kind of peace that allowed her to genuinely smile, not for any superficial reason, but because she felt she was truly living in alignment with herself. The dreams she once thought could only exist in fairy tales were now slowly becoming her reality. That day, as the shop grew busier, Emily could see the noticeable change in the eyes of her customers. They came not only to shop, but to feel the warmth and sincerity she exuded. She smiled as she served a regular customer, someone who had been coming for a while and now saw her not just as a shop owner, but as a friend. The feeling of being respected and appreciated, not just for her work, but for who she was as a person, was something Emily had never dared to dream of before. "Hello, it seems like the shop is busier today," said a mother from the neighborhood, her basket filled to the brim. "Yes, thank you so much for your support," Emily smiled, greeting her kindly. But in that moment, as the woman's gaze lingered on her, Emily felt a special connection. It wasn't just a relationship between a customer and a shopkeeper, but a sense of shared understanding between two women, two mothers, both striving to rise in life. And in that moment, Emily realized she wasn't alone in her struggles. There were many women like her, fighting every day to build a better future for their children. For Emily, each passing day brought a new feeling, an unexplored sensation of owning her life. The freedom that came from no longer worrying about debts, the fear of an uncertain future gone. The feeling of being loved, not because she was perfect, but because she was simply herself, a mother, a resilient woman. When Emily looked at Lily, she felt an indescribable sense of pride. Her daughter had changed, grown, and become stronger than ever. Lily's paintings were no longer just innocent sketches. They were works of art filled with creativity and dreams. She painted vast oceans, fields of colorful flowers, and houses with loved ones gathered together. It seemed like Lily was painting a world she longed for, a world where they could live in peace and happiness. Every evening, as the two of them sat together, talking about the little things in life, Emily felt that she had found what she had been missing for so long, the feeling of tranquility. Not the rush of a busy life, not the worries about the future, but the simple happiness of knowing that she had done her best for the one she loved most. Then one day, when she walked into the shop and saw Lily waiting at the counter, Emily could not help but feel moved. Lily was helping her sell, chatting happily with customers, as if she had grown up and become an essential part of their lives. That feeling, seeing her daughter confident and happy, was something Emily had never experienced before. She knew that their lives had entered a new chapter, one full of hope and light. The challenges would still come, but now she no longer felt alone. Because in Emily's heart there was a new belief, a belief in herself, in her daughter, and in the good things that life would bring. And that was the new feeling she had found, after so many years of struggling with difficulties. It was not the perfection, but the contentment and peace found in every step on this new path. Autumn came quickly, bringing with it the gentle breath of the wind and the warm golden hues of the leaves. Emily's shop had now become a familiar part of the small community in the neighborhood. Customers came not only for the shopping needs, but also for the warmth and friendliness that Emily offered. She had created a space that not only sold quality goods, but also served as a place where people could find peace for their souls. However, even though life had seen positive changes, Emily could not deny that challenges were still present. After a long day at work, she would return home, sometimes feeling exhausted, not from the work itself, but from the lingering thoughts that weighed on her heart. She often asked herself whether she had done enough for Lily, whether there was anything more she could do to create a more secure future for her daughter. One day, as the shop was quiet, a middle-aged woman walked in. She was dressed in a simple yet elegant dress, her long black hair neatly tied back. The woman's gaze was special, as if she were seeking something more than just items in the store. Emily approached, offering a warm smile. "Hello, is there anything I can help you with?" Emily asked. The woman smiled, her eyes full of understanding. "I just wanted to find a peaceful space. This place is wonderful. It feels like a place to rest the soul." Emily couldn't help but be surprised. She had never imagined that her shop could bring others such a sense of relaxation. But what caught her attention even more was the woman's gaze. There was something familiar in it, as if she knew about Emily's life without needing to say a word. "You must have a special reason for coming here, right?" Emily gently asked. The woman looked at her for a long moment, then nodded softly. "I just wanted to share a little something I have learned in life. No matter how hard we try, life will always change. The important thing isn't how many challenges we will face, but whether we have the courage to face them and overcome them." Emily fell silent, feeling that these words were a deep reminder in her heart. She had grown so used to trying to toughen up, trying to control everything, but she had never asked herself whether she was truly ready to accept the changes in her life. The woman continued, "Life always changes. And sometimes, change isn't something we choose, but something we have to face. But if we know how to embrace it and learn from it, we will see that change is not the enemy, it is a natural part of growth." The woman's words were like a gentle wave, soothing Emily's soul. She realized that she had been living in fear and worry about changes, about things she could not control. She had spent too much time clinging to familiar things, even though those things no longer brought her joy or peace as they once did. But today, hearing these words, she suddenly realized that change was the key to unlocking a new life, a better life. At the end of the day, when Emily returned home, she sat beside Lily, looking into her daughter's bright eyes. A new feeling rose within her heart. She no longer viewed life with anxiety. Instead, she looked toward the future with hope and stronger determination than ever before. "Lily, I have something I want to say to you," Emily began, her voice gentle yet firm. We won't just live the way we have been living. I want to try changing a little, do things I have never dared to do before. I want to start over, learn new things, and not let fear hold me back." Lily looked up at her mother, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "What will you do, Mom?" Emily smiled, her heart full of resolve. "I won't just take care of the shop, but I also want to explore things I have always overlooked. I want to learn to draw, just like you. I want to discover new things in life and enjoy them with you." Layli laughed aloud, her voice ringing through the warm space of their home. "You are going to draw? Will you make beautiful pictures like mine?" Emily laughed along, then looked into her daughter's eyes. She never imagined that in such a simple moment, she would feel such a change within herself. The changes weren't grand leaps, but a gradual opening of her heart and acceptance of everything life had to offer. And she knew that this change would not just be a part of life, it would be part of the journey for both her and Lily. The next day, Emily found a painting class near her home. She signed up with excitement, like a child, eager to explore the world of colors that had always felt distant. In her heart, the anxieties about work or the future slowly faded away, replaced by curiosity and the joy of knowing she could learn and change. For Lily, she was not just Emily's greatest comfort in life, but also her motivation to keep moving forward. The two of them began painting together every evening, creating beautiful pictures and sharing funny stories. This feeling living fully with herself and with the people she loved, was the gift that this new life had brought to them. Emily learned that change was not something to fear. On the contrary, it was an opportunity for her to discover new aspects of herself and experience joys she had never dared to think about before. And for her, change was a step forward, not only in her work, but also in the way she lived, loved, and faced life's challenges. With each step and each small decision in life, Emily understood that change was not an end, but part of the journey ahead. A journey filled with new possibilities and promises. She knew that, in this vast world, change was the only thing that would never stop. And in that change, she found herself. Winter had arrived, bringing with it the sharp cold, but in Emily's small apartment, it was warmer than ever. The paintings that Emily and Lily had created together now covered the walls, each painting telling a story, an emotion, and a part of their journey in search of joy and peace. They didn't just paint the scenes around them, they painted their dreams, their hopes, and even the sorrows of the past. Emily had changed. She no longer felt caught up in the whirlwind of work and endless worries. She understood that life does not always go according to plan, and sometimes the changes we fear are actually opportunities to open new paths. Now, Emily felt she was living more authentically, savoring each moment to the fullest. She no longer left everything to fate, but began to live proactively, love, and appreciate the smallest things. Lily had also grown a lot. She was no longer the innocent child who only painted pictures of beach trips or cozy homes. Now, Lily had her own dreams and ambitions she wanted to pursue. Still, the love and bond between mother and daughter remained unchanged. They were always there for each other, sharing joyful moments, and sometimes sharing tears. One winter afternoon, when it had grown dark outside and the gray clouds covered the sky, Emily and Lily sat by the window, watching the snowflakes gently fall. The warmth inside their home made them feel like everything was okay, despite the difficulties outside. "I wish we could travel, Mom." Lily looked up at her mother, her eyes bright. "I want to go to places we have never been before and paint more pictures of distant places." Emily smiled, gently stroking her daughter's hair. "Maybe one day, you and I will go to those places, Lily. We will do wonderful things together, just like we have been doing. I believe life will always bring us opportunities." Lily nodded, her face full of hope. The two of them smiled, knowing deep down that while challenges would still come, what mattered most was that they always had each other, and everything would be okay. Emily's life had changed, and this change wasn't a shock or a major disruption, but a gentle, warm, and meaningful transformation. She had learned to face the unknown, accept imperfection, and understand that sometimes, to be happy, we do not need everything, just enough love, patience, and faith in the good things. In that peaceful moment, Emily looked out the window at the snowflakes drifting by. She knew that, no matter how life would change, with each passing day, each moment, she could find joy in the simple things. And more importantly, she had the strength to continue writing her own story, a story not only full of hardships, but also brimming with love, hope, and resilience. Emily no longer feared change. She had learned to embrace it as part of life, because every change, whether big or small, brought valuable lessons. And with Lily by her side, she knew that no matter what life brought, they would always find their own path, a path full of promise and light. Their story, a story of love, resilience, and change, continued. Each day was a new chapter, each moment an opportunity to find happiness and meaning in life. And Emily knew that, even though the road ahead might be long, she and Lily would always walk together, never giving up, because they had learned to love and trust in themselves.